Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're digging into a new global gold rush. But forget what you think you know. This isn't about gold, and it isn't about oil. It's about the critical minerals that are quietly powering our entire modern world, and really defining the next era of global power.
You know, for the longest time, we've thought the global economy runs on things like oil or gold. But that's changing. There's a whole new class of materials that have become, well, absolutely essential for everything we build, use, and rely on.
Yeah, we're talking about things like lithium, cobalt, copper, and rare earths. These are the fundamental building blocks for, well, for everything. From the smartphone that's probably in your pocket right now to the electric vehicles that are totally redrawing the map of how we get around. All right, so why all the fuss? What makes these materials so important that people are literally calling them the new oil? Let's get into it.
Okay, to put it simply, you just can't have the green energy transition without them. They're at the very heart of the batteries, the super powerful magnets, and all the complex wiring we need for wind turbines, solar panels, and the millions upon millions of EVs hitting the road every single year.
But here's the thing. It's not just about who digs this stuff out of the ground. That's only part of the story. The real power, the real control, is in who refines and processes it. And when you look at that, whoa, you start to see a massive strategic problem for pretty much the entire world. Because for decades, one country has been playing the long game, and now they have a commanding lead. And the numbers, they're just staggering. Let's just take lithium. China refines 70% of the world's supply. 70%! That's the key ingredient for the batteries in pretty much every EV on the planet. Okay, what about cobalt? Another absolutely vital piece of the puzzle for high-performance batteries. Well, China's refining share there is even higher, over 75%. That kind of control over a critical part of the supply chain, it's almost unheard of. And believe it or not, it gets even more concentrated. Let's talk about the powerful magnets, the ones you need for EV motors and wind turbines. China's production share for the most common type, an unbelievable 94%. All right, so let's bring it all home. What about the finished product, the actual battery cells that go into cars, that go into energy storage systems? Well, around 85% of the entire global manufacturing capacity is in, you guessed it, China. And this is where you see the hidden layer of control. And it's brilliant, really. So if you look at a map, Indonesia refines the most nickel. But, and this is a big but, who actually owns those facilities? Chinese companies. They control the vast majority of those assets. So even though the refineries are in Indonesia, China effectively controls about 65% of the global supply, which means they get to decide where it all goes. So with this much concentration in one place, you can see why the whole market for these minerals has basically turned into a high-stakes geopolitical chess match. Every country is now scrambling just to make sure they have access. And look, this isn't just about who makes the most money anymore. As the International Energy Agency puts it, this has become a frontline issue of national security. And countries are absolutely starting to use their leverage over the supply chain as a strategic weapon. And yeah, this is not some abstract idea. It's happening right now. Just look at this timeline. It's a rapid-fire, tit-for-tat escalation. The US hits them with tariffs, China hits back with export controls. Other key countries suddenly halt shipments to control prices. This isn't just the threat of a trade war. This is a trade war playing out in real time. Okay, so faced with this new reality, what's everyone else doing? Well, they're scrambling. Really scrambling to break this dependency. There's this massive, urgent push to build their own secure, resilient supply lines, basically from the ground up. And the global countermove is coming from all sides. It's this three-pronged attack, really. First, you've got governments throwing billions of dollars at domestic mining and recycling. Second, they're forming new mineral diplomacy alliances. And third, there's an all-out race to develop game-changing technology. It's a full court press to build totally new parallel supply chains from scratch. And honestly, that tech race is just fascinating to watch. We're seeing amazing innovations pop up like direct lithium extraction. It's a way to pull lithium right out of salty water, or brine, instead of from hard rock mines. That could totally bypass some of the old choke points. At the same time, you've got AI helping to find new mineral deposits faster than ever before. And get this, there's even a huge push to go back and reprocess old mine waste, literally digging through the garbage of old mines to pull out valuable minerals left behind decades ago. You know, just recycling could be a massive game changer.
Think about this. By 2040, if we get a really solid recycling industry going, we could cut our need for new copper and cobalt mining by more than a third. That would slash the total investment we'd need by almost 30% and create a much more secure, circular supply chain. That's huge.
So the race is definitely on. The stakes, they couldn't be higher. But the outcome? That is far from certain, especially when you see the absolute tsunami of demand that is heading straight for us.
Okay, just look at this chart. This is just the demand for lithium, and only from the clean energy sector. The growth here isn't a straight line. It's a rocket ship. It's exponential. The demand is projected to just skyrocket over the next 15 years. It's going to put an almost unimaginable amount of pressure on the entire global supply chain. And that really brings us to the final, crucial question, doesn't it? With demand about to explode like this, who is going to control the resources that power our future? Will all these efforts to diversify, to innovate, to build new alliances, will it all be enough? And will it happen in time to meet this massive wave of demand? Or are we going to see a handful of players tighten their grip on the very materials that will define the rest of the 21st century? That is the race we're all watching.